Nintendo!
Hey everyone, my name is Chrono, and this is my guide for the Zaqali Assault in the upcoming Aberrus raid. This is a fight where you split the raid into two teams to deal with waves of adds. I've never been a huge fan of these types of fights, but at least it's the loot pinata that's early in the raid. Alright, let's get started. You start the fight against the main target, Cagney. At 75%, adds start appearing on the two platforms, requiring that you split the raid. The Mythic is always the highest priority. So long as its shield holds, it pulses for increasing raid damage. These Mystics come flying in on a bird, so it's always visually apparent when you need to swap. All of the adds will get snap threat on the healers upon arrival, with the exception of the wall climbers. These will immediately make a run for the door, and if they succeed, it's a wipe. Tagging them should give them a normal aggro table, but there were times during testing where this interaction was a bit buggy, and they didn't respond right away. Every time Cagney hits 100 energy, he leaps to the other platform, doing raid damage and creates lines that you have to dodge. The tank debuff he applies comes from Heavy Cudgel, which is a frontal that makes you take 15% more physical damage. He applies 2 stacks before he leaps to the other side again, but even with 30% extra damage taken from the adds, it's nothing to be too worried about. Using this cudgel spawns a few boulders that you can pick up. While adds are climbing up the sides, you can use your extra action button to drop it onto them, preventing them from taking part in the fight altogether. On Heroic, we found that there were long periods where nothing was happening, so we generally prefer to just let them spawn. Before you push the boss, make sure there isn't a Mystic coming out soon, and make an effort to prevent additional adds from climbing up. At 15%, Cagney begins absorbing a Phoenix, which heals him back to 25%, and the last phase begins. He now does ticking fire damage to the whole raid, and his Heavy Cudgel becomes enhanced. It now marks a handful of players with a red circle that does heavy damage. He also attempts to break the door with a leap. This needs to be soaked to split the damage. If this phase lasts long enough, then you won't be able to soak a second one because of a debuff it applies. But we were able to kill the boss way before that happened. The Mythic changes aren't too drastic. The Phoenix that Cagney absorbs at the end of the fight now takes part during P1. It spawns little adds that fixate onto players that simply need to be kited through melee to be cleaved. Once killed, they retreat into an egg and reincarnate after some time. The Phoenix also does a blowback, so don't hang out too close to the edge. During P2, Heavy Cudgel now applies the red circle onto the entire raid, and soaking more than your own is almost certain death, so you'll need to be pretty spread going into each cast. We were able to kill the boss before he even finished his leap cast. The soak mechanics seemed irrelevant while testing both difficulties, so I wouldn't be surprised if they extended the length of P2. If you enjoy easy bosses for free loot that involve a lot of AoE, this might be for you. But I've always found these to not be very engaging, even during progression. At the very least, having high damage ends the add portion of the fight earlier, so you aren't left standing around waiting for more to spawn. But even so, the rest of the bosses in the raid are infinitely more fun in my opinion. It's also really weird that we were preventing the Zaqali from opening the door, to the point where letting them touch it would wipe us. Only for the door to open up anyway, for us to go on killing Rashok on the other side. So that felt like a fail immersion-wise, even for people who don't necessarily take notice for that type of thing. I hope you guys found this guide helpful. I have 3 more to finish up before the release of the patch. I'll see you in the next one.